My name is Leduc, and I am here at Karma Tribe Yoga. It's Kansas City's premier donation-based yoga studio. I'm the founder and one of the teachers here. And today, what I'll lead you through is our January beginner's yoga class. Every month we'll be moving through a little bit different sequence, but it's intended for yoga beginners and for people who would like to deepen their yoga practice or maybe come back and really work on their fundamentals to help them be able to be more fully expressed in other types of yoga. What you might need for this practice are a couple different props. One is a blanket. It's always a wonderful tool to use. Two are these blocks here. You may or may not have these at home. If you don't, you might use a couple of books or just something sturdy that you can hold on to. Use them to kind of bring the floor to us, among other reasons, but that's the primary reason we'll use them today. So if you need to pause for a moment, go grab a few things, you're more than welcome to do that, of course. So this class is intended to supplement the Saturday 9 a.m. beginner yoga class that we hold at the studio. If you don't live in Kansas City, of course, you're more than welcome to join in on this online class. If you do, come to the studio on Saturdays. It will be a slightly longer, more involved class where I'll actually be there to help you with your alignment. But this is meant to supplement and allow you to practice this more than just once a week. So we'll get started in this position here, which is Sukhasana, also called easy pose. That doesn't necessarily mean it's easy for everyone. It's just the name of it, really. If you find that when you sit in this pose that it really makes your hips want to grip and that your spine is rounding like this, I highly recommend a couple different options. For a big lift, you can take a block, slide it under your seat. It'll help roll your pelvis forward like this. You're also welcome to take a blanket, and this folded edge here will go under your sits bones. And if you go ahead and touch your butt, it might feel kind of weird. These two little bony protrusions underneath your glutes are your sits bones, sometimes called sitting bones. You can take your blanket and slide them so the sits bones are right on it. So you're not sitting entirely on the blanket, but about halfway. And that helps roll the pelvis forward just a little bit so that you have more space in the hips and can sit more comfortably. And bring the hands down to the knees. You can face the palms up if you're wanting to bring a little bit of energy in. If you have some anxious energy going on and want to ground, take the palms and face them down. And take your eyes and close them or soften them. And notice your seat. Feel it very firmly rooted and heavy on the ground, feeling the way the mat is underneath you. And then take the top of the head and lift it up toward the ceiling as you create a lot of length and space in the spine. And that will allow us to breathe very deeply in and out of the nose, using all of the proper muscles that allow us to get the most out of each and every breath. As you're inhaling, feel the air pass through your nostrils and allow your belly and your rib cage and your chest to fully expand, almost like there's a balloon inside. And as you exhale, release all the air. That balloon will shrink. The air comes out the nostrils. Continue breathing really big and deeply and smoothly. We'll take a moment to scan the body. Notice any areas of tension. Also notice anywhere that feels particularly good. Notice the way your clothes feel on your skin. Be the light behind the eyelids. Any sounds or smells or tastes. Allow your forehead to soften and relax. Same with the eyes. Notice if you're clenching the teeth, and allow your jaw to relax so that there's space between the teeth, and the tongue will just very gently rest on the roof of the mouth. And if you'd like, you can even swallow. to find a little more relaxation in the throat and the tongue. Let the shoulders relax away from the head. Then take a moment to notice your thoughts. Usually we're very immersed in our thoughts and don't take much notice of them. So what we're doing right now is almost stepping outside of the thoughts and observing as though from afar. And oftentimes our thoughts are quite focused on the past or worrying about the future. But when we get on our mats, it gives us an opportunity to focus on the here and now. Everything else can wait. There's always more time to think about those things. Right now, this time is for you to clear space, for self-care. Now notice your emotions, how you feel. And they are not right or wrong, they just are. Allow yourself to observe them again, almost as though from afar. Bring attention back to that deep breath, and we'll call this a diaphragmatic breath, meaning we're using our diaphragm, our deep stomach muscle. It lowers as you inhale in order to fill the lungs, and it rises as you exhale in order to release air from the lungs. And I encourage you as we move through this practice today to maintain this very steady and calm breath, even when you feel challenged, especially when you feel challenged. Bring palms together at the heart, thumbs at the sternum, fingers spread wide. And set your intention for this practice today. And this can be any word or phrase, maybe a feeling that you'd like to call in. Or maybe there is something you want to let go of. Maybe you're dedicating this time to a higher power or something that's bigger than you in your life. Together we'll take 3 cleansing breaths. Inhale and circle the arms overhead. Bring your palms to touch. Audibly exhale out the mouth. Draw the hands to the heart. 2 more times like that. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bring the hands down to the knees. We'll begin to move with the breath. Feel free to flutter the eyes open or to keep them shut whenever you'd like. Inhale. And shrug the shoulders up by the ears, allow them to tense. And exhale, relax them down. Moving through this twice more. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhale, roll the shoulders forward and upward. Exhale, roll them backward and down. Twice more, just like that, exploring the range of motion of your shoulders. And go the other way. Inhale, backward and up. Exhale, forward and down. Twice more. Now inhale, sit nice and tall. And exhale, let the chin draw down toward the chest. And inhale, let your left ear roll all the way to the left shoulder. Let the right shoulder be really heavy. Exhale, let the chin roll back down. Inhale, left ear to left shoulder. Exhale, back down. Do that a couple more times with your breath. Next time you exhale, exhale, leave the chin at the chest. Take the hands to interlace at the base of the head. Let the elbows draw down toward the head. You're not pulling on the head, instead allowing the weight of the hands to gently create a little bit of a stretch in the back of the neck. Inhale, bring the chin back up. And exhale, release the hands. Bring the fingertips down in front of you. Now broaden through the chest, avoiding rounding through the shoulders like this. Instead, open it up. You'll inhale. And exhale, leave as much length and space in the spine as possible as you walk the hands forward. The goal here is not to touch the head to the ground, but to maintain as much length and space in the spine as possible, and to keep the chest broad. And think of the very top of your head reaching up, and it's extending from your spine. Our goal is never to stretch until you find pain. Instead, what we're finding is what's called an edge. So it's a place where you might feel some sensation, but once you get to the point of pain, that's a really good indicator to pull back. We're looking to feel better, not worse. Walk the hands in toward you as you inhale. And exhale, switch the cross of the ankles. So you'll sit back and cross. Fingertips in front of you, inhale, lengthen. And exhale, walk the hands forward. A lot of times in yoga, you'll hear a teacher say, breathe into your hips or breathe into your heart. And obviously, we breathe with our lungs, but what we mean is find those places of tension in your body. Right now, it might be your hips or back. And as you breathe very, very deeply, allowing belly to expand and release, imagine that the breath is flowing into that space and that it's clearing away any cobwebs, any tension, and allowing for relaxation. Walk the hands in toward you. Sitting tall. Inhale, circle the arms overhead, reach through the fingertips, gaze up. Exhale, stay really, really tall and twist to your right. Bring the left fingertips in front of the body and the right fingertips behind the body. And then open up through the chest. So hips stay very stable, but we're taking the right shoulder and drawing it back, maybe gazing over it even. Letting belly expand and release with each breath. Now inhale, unwind, reach up. Exhale, stay very, very tall, lifting through the crown of the head, twisting to the other side. Right fingertips in front of you, left behind you. The spine moves in 6 directions. It twists from one side to the other, that's 2. It goes forward and back, that's another 2. And side to side, which are the last 2. If we move them in those directions every day, it helps to release and relieve pain. Also keeps you young. Inhale, unwind, reach up. Now we'll go side to side. Exhale, bring the right fingertips down, bend through the right elbow a bit, and reach up and over to the side. Notice if your hip starts to lift like this and press it down instead. Take your chest and spiral it up toward the ceiling. You can look under your left arm if that's comfortable to you. If that doesn't feel good on your neck, look down at the right hand. Feel lots of space on the right side of the body. Inhale, press to come back up. Exhale, lateral bend to the other side, bending through the left elbow, reaching up and over. Again, rooting through your sits bones. A little bit of a spiral of the chest open. So if your shoulders are rounding and you're coming forward, open it up instead. Reach all the way through fingertips. Inhale, press back up. And exhale, we'll come to child's pose or Tita Balasana. So you'll come with knees apart and toes together. If you have tenderness in the knees, you're always welcome to slide a blanket underneath them. And if you have a hard time touching your heels to your seat, you can slide a blanket between heels and seat. Then extend the arms forward and rest your forehead down. If your forehead doesn't touch the ground, you can take your block and slide it underneath. This is our main resting pose in yoga. You are absolutely more than welcome at any time in your practice to come back to this space. No questions asked. And although it's a resting pose, we'll make it a little active. So draw your seat toward your heels, reach through your arms and spread your fingers. Feel lots of length and space in both sides of the body. We'll take a cleansing breath here, in through the nose, out of the mouth. Bring the hands in toward you and press up onto your hands and knees. For a neutral tabletop position, you'll find your wrists directly under your shoulders and your knees directly under your hips. Again, if knees are tender, slide a blanket underneath them. Take your fingers and spread them really wide and press all of your fingertips into the mat. This is Hasta Bandha, or hand lock, and it helps protect your wrists and elbows and shoulders. Now we'll take the little soft spot or inner crease of the elbow and spin it forward. Now reach the top of your head forward and your tail back and draw your low belly in. This is your neutral position. Now we'll move through cats and cows to get the other two directions of the spine. Inhale, draw your tail up, your belly down, lift your chin and your heart. This is cow position. Exhale into cat and round through the spine. Draw your belly in. Separate the shoulder blades and bring the chin to the chest. Continue moving between these two poses. First into cow, then into cat. We'll do this a couple more times. Then come back through center. Moving to downward facing dog, you'll take your hands and move them forward about one handprint. Notice the creases of the wrists. They should be about parallel to the front of the mat. So if you need to flare your hands out a little bit, that's fine. Press into your fingertips, tuck the toes under, and draw up and back with the hips. And before we find stillness here, bend one knee at a time. So bend the right knee, press the left heel down. Then bend the left knee, press the right heel down. Do that once more each side. We'll set up our alignment here. Spread the fingers and press into fingertips or Hasta Bandha. And feel as though you're hugging your upper arms toward each other and then squeezing something into your armpits, like you're trying to hold a big marble or an egg in them, which is kind of gross, but it helps. And then look between your ankles and draw your belly in. When we're first gaining flexibility, it can be really normal for there to be a lot of weight in the hands and roundness in the back. So we're going to let that go by bending the knees, then sending the hips back, back, back as far as they'll go. And then you're finding lots of length from the very top of the head to the tailbone. From there you can straighten as much as you want, but if you start to straighten and the weight goes in your hands in the background, it's a good indication to just keep your knees bent. There's no rule that you have to straighten the legs. Take another breath here. Now we'll inhale into plank position. So we'll move the hips and the torso forward until the shoulders are right over the wrists. You're pressing into fingertips. So if this is not accessible to you, knees can always come down. We're going to try to keep some tightness in the belly. So press into your hands. Shoulders are strong. Feel your belly strong, same with your butt and your legs. Your heels are right over the balls of the feet. Just like I was saying earlier, try to maintain a deep, steady, and calm breath, even when you feel challenged. One more inhale. We'll exhale to bring the knees down, untuck the toes, hug the elbows toward the back of the mat, and lie all the way onto chest and belly. Press all 10 toenails down, and hug the elbows in toward you. Take your kneecaps and lift them, even though you're pressing the feet down. So you're engaging through the thighs and press your pubic bone down. Inhaling to Bhujangasana Cobra. We'll lift the heart. We're going to put very little weight in the hands, so you should be able to lift them. The back is really doing the work. Hug your elbows in tight. Draw your shoulder blades together to open up through the front of the chest. And try not to lift the chin too much. Instead, we're keeping a natural curve in the spine. So reaching through the top of the head. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, press into tabletop position. Tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stay for a breath. And then walk the hands back to the feet. Soften through the knees a little bit, or a lot. Really, we want the low belly or low ribs to be on the thighs. Let your head dangle. So instead of looking down, let it dangle. You want your feet to be about 2 of your fists width apart. We call that hip distance as well. You might find your elbows and rock side to side if that feels good. Keep breathing deeply. Then let your arms dangle. Keep the knees bent or even bend them deeper. We're going to roll up through the spine. Inhale to roll up. You never want to roll up with straight legs. Keep them bent. And exhale to roll the shoulders back and down. From here, we're finding Tadasana or mountain pose, and it's the kind of basis for every other standing pose in yoga. So even though it looks like you're just standing on 2 feet, you're doing a lot of work. And by the way, when you were a baby, this was the very first standing pose that you learned, and it wasn't easy then. We fall into a lot of bad habits through our lives that make us misaligned. So this is lining us right back up. So pick up your toes, fan them wide, and set them down. You want to press through your big toe mounds, and that's this part of your foot right here. So press that right down into the mat, and you'll feel the inner arches of your feet lift. You'll feel your thighs lift up, feel your chest open up, spin the palms forward, and reach up through the top of the head. This is Tadasana mountain pose. Take a breath here. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll take a step forward with the right foot. So not a huge step forward, maybe stepping about halfway up your mat. And you'll turn your left toes to a diagonal, so toward the top left corner of your mat. Both heels are aligned with your hip bones, and your hips are facing the front. Then bend through the right knee. You'll find it right over the ankle, and reach both arms up overhead. This is Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. Now take your big toe mounds and press them into the mat. You're pressing your feet down, and that helps us lift up. It also helps stabilize your hips and legs. Now take your right hip and drop back just a little bit. Your right hip hard, your left hip forward. Take a couple deep breaths here. This might be where you need your blocks, so if you need, you can readjust. I'm going to take the blocks to either side of my foot. Back to Warrior 1. Inhale, straighten the right leg. We'll exhale to a 1-leg forward fold. Take the hips, draw them back, reach the hands forward. Then you might find your blocks or whatever you're using to support on either side of your foot. What we want to avoid is rounding in the spine. We get enough of that sitting at our computers or texting on our phones. So instead, we're going to lengthen through the spine, reaching through the crown of the head. If your hamstrings are quite loose, fingertips can come down, but that is not the goal or the point. The point is to lengthen the spine and lengthen the legs. We'll stay for a few breaths. We want to think of pressing the top of the head forward, drawing the right hip back, left hip forward, pressing into the feet, engaging through the legs. Take another breath. Open the chest. Bend through the right knee. And inhale, come back up. We'll exhale and step the feet to the front of the mat, keep them hip distance apart. We'll switch to the left side. So taking a step back with the right foot, left toes point forward, right at a diagonal, maybe toward top right corner of your mat or a little bit further out. Bend through the left knee, reaching the arms up, Warrior 1 left side or Virabhadrasana 1. Left hip slides slightly back, right hip forward. Press with both feet into the mat. You're going to feel them pressing down and almost like splitting the mat without actually moving it. Now take your shoulders, draw them away from the head. Keep breathing deeply. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, send the hips back, reach the hands forward. Then find the hands on either block. Finding one leg forward fold. You might be up here, you might be down lower. Again, that's completely up to the mobility of your body as it is right now. And I strongly encourage you to accept it as it is right now today. Take a few deep breaths. Bend the left knee. Inhale, rising up. And exhale, step the feet to the front of the mat. This time, we're going to start with both feet together. And then go ahead and take my block, place it right there. We're going to take a really big step this time to the side of the mat. So right foot steps back. And you want to try to line up your ankles and your wrists. So you're making kind of a T shape, T/X. And you're drawing your right heel in, toes point toward the back of the mat. Left toes either point toward the very side of the mat or slightly at a diagonal. That's going to be up to the mobility of your knee and hip. And then bend through the right knee. This is warrior two. Open up through the chest, so no rounding over. Instead, open it up. Draw your shoulder blades together behind you and then down the back. Engage through the arms. Look over your right fingertips. Sometimes we want to lean forward or back in this pose, but what we want to try to do is keep the shoulders aligned right over the hips. Press into the feet, especially big toe mounts. Another breath. Now inhale and straighten your right leg. And exhale, we'll bring this left foot in a little bit, so it's more at the distance of warrior one. Let's bring right hand to the hip. You'll inhale and send your hips over to the left. You'll exhale, reach the right hand down. You can reach it for a block, or it might stay somewhere on the leg. Fingertips might graze the ground, but I'll show you. If that happens and you start to lean forward and you lose the length in your right side, that's a good indication to come higher. So we're looking for as much length as possible along that bottom side of the body. And then arms aligned in a T shape. I'm opening up the chest. So if I was right up against a wall right now, my entire back body would be touching it. And I'm looking up to my hand and reaching the crown of my head forward. Looking down at the foot. I'll inhale, come back up. And exhale, I'll take the feet a little wider and align again. I'm going to place my block by the left foot so I'm ready for later. So ankles, wrists aligned. Left heel will turn in, toes out. And I'm bending the left knee, opening through the chest, drawing shoulder blades down the back. Warrior two, left side. Looking at my left hand. I'm going to try not to stick my butt out too much and let the belly kind of open up. Instead, I'm drawing the tailbone, not to tuck under, but just drawing it down toward the ground. I'm drawing my low belly in to maintain strength. Now inhale, straighten the left leg, heel toe the right foot in a little bit to shorten the stance. I'll exhale and bring the left hand to left hip. And I'm inhaling, pressing my hips over to the right. And it's almost like I'm a little teapot, so we're bending the body over, sending the hips over. And then left hand comes down and right hand up. Again, I'm going to use that block for stability and to bring the mat or the ground to me instead of having to reach down to it. Then looking up at the top hand, opening through the chest. Deep breaths. And if it doesn't look good or feel good to look at the top hand, just look down. We don't want to put ourselves in pain. And I know a lot of us deal with neck strain. Look down at the bottom foot. Inhale, come back up. We'll exhale and step to the front of the mat. I'll move this block out of the way. And we'll go ahead and just come on down to a seat. Take the soles of the feet out in front of me. Knees bent. I'll inhale and lengthen. I'll exhale and roll all the way down, trying to roll almost one vertebra at a time onto the ground. You can also use hands to help you. That's up to your body. Now walk the feet in really close to your seat, toes pointed forward. Take your palms and press them down. We'll move into bridge pose to open up the front side of the body. First, take your arms to a 90-degree angle, almost like a robot or a T-Rex. You'll press into your elbows a little bit to lift the chest and slide the shoulder blades together. So there's some space between the top spine and the ground. And press the palms down. And make sure that your cervical vertebra or neck is not pressing down against the ground. You need to lift the chin perhaps a little bit if that's happening. And press through the feet as you inhale to lift the hips upward. This is bridge pose. You can either keep pressing the arms and palms down, or take the hands to interlace behind the back, drawing your palms and wrists together. Your upper arm bones will come closer together as well. Sometimes in this pose we have the tendency to want to let the knees go really wide. Try to fight against that. So draw the thighs toward each other. Press into your feet and engage through your thighs. You might want to really clench your butt, but we'll also try to move away from that tendency. It can be firm, but not totally squeezed. And most of the leg work is happening in the legs. One more inhale. And exhale, slowly roll down from the top of the spine to the tailbone. You'll bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees go wide in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined cobbler's pose. Take the hands, rest them on the belly. Take a couple deep breaths. Feel your belly rising under your hands as you inhale and falling as you exhale. Now we'll move to one of my favorite poses, which is Happy Baby. So bring your knees back up. You'll take them very wide toward the chest. And then flex your feet so you're drawing your toes toward your shins. Then feet come up toward the ceiling. From here, you might find hands around ankles or the outer edges of the feet. You'll bring the knees wide and press them down. Sometimes people have the tendency to kind of lift up through their seat. We're going to avoid that, instead pressing your sacrum, or the very lowest part of your spine, down against the ground. And press the knees wide and down, relax the shoulders and head. You might stay really still. I kind of like to move. You'll notice that babies just really naturally do this pose, all of them. They do it for various reasons, but I'd say mostly because it feels good. So it's nice as an adult or older person to come back to that, remember that joy. Take both of your knees, hug them into the chest. You can either roll to one side and use your hands to help you up, or take the hands behind the thighs and rock and roll on the spine. To come to a seated position with the legs outstretched. Just like earlier, a lot of times we have the tendency here to kind of roll back in the backgrounds like this. If that's happening, you can take that blanket and bring it about halfway under your seat so that the pelvis rolls forward. And then you're using your strong core to lift you up. Let the fingertips rest at the sides. This is Dandasana, or staff pose. We'll take a forward fold from here. You'll inhale to lengthen. Try to keep lots of space in the spine. And exhale, walk the hands forward. If you get about here and your back wants to start to round, it's a good indication to stay exactly as you are. Just close the eyes. Feel the sensation. You might walk the hands a little bit more and find the ankles, maybe the feet. Just like I said earlier, reaching the feet or touching the ground, it's not the goal. The goal is to find what works for your body and then to find as much acceptance for it as possible. We'll open up the shoulders, reach through the top of the head, take a couple deep breaths. And inhale and walk the hands in. Now I'll bend the knees and let them go wide. Soles of feet will touch. You can bring the hands to the ankles or around the feet. Your knees might be up here, they might be touching the ground. We're all really different. So again, just like everything else, yoga can be a really personalized practice, and there's no reason to beat yourself up for not looking a certain way or other. What's important is you're here on your mat today and taking this time for yourself. So if this feels like enough sensation, just sitting tall, by all means, stay here. Otherwise, you'll inhale nice and tall, and exhale, start to bend your elbows back. Keep your chest really open, reach to the top of the head. This is about my edge here, where I feel the sensation but no pain. Some people's heads touch the ground, some people sit up straight. Again, it's all different. We all have different bodies, different stories. Take a couple more breaths. Inhale, press back up. Take the hands, let them bring the knees together. And exhale, bring soles of feet back to the mat. If this blanket's underneath you, set it aside. You can either roll back down on the spine. I'm going to use my hands to help me this time, just to be a little more easeful. Then bring your arms out to a T shape with your palms facing down onto the ground. Walk the feet in close to you. You'll pick up your hips, kind of like bridge pose. Send them all the way to the left side of the mat, set them down. Then let both of your knees fall to the right. And as your knees come to the right, try to make sure your left shoulder stays down on the mat. And if you'd like, you can always slide a block or blanket between the knees or even underneath them. You can look straight up toward the ceiling or look toward your left hand, whatever is more comfortable to you. Let your belly just relax, take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, bring the knees back up, set the feet down. Shift your hips all the way to the right, set them down, and let your knees fall to the left. And as we do that, it just aligns your spine. And you can look straight up or to the right, whatever is more comfortable to you. Let your body fully relax. Finding an inhale. And exhale, draw your knees in and up. Set the feet down, shift your hips back to the center of the mat. Hug the knees to the chest one last time. Give yourself a big hug. And we'll move ourselves into Shavasana, or corpse pose, which is our final rest. So traditionally, that's laying flat on the mat with legs wide and arms next to your sides with the palms up. For modifications, especially if you have any tension in the low back, you can roll up your blanket or even use a pillow or a bolster and slide it under your knees. You're also welcome to place a blanket under your head. Now close or soften your eyes. And feel the back of your head very heavy. Feel the pelvis very heavy. Oftentimes we hold tension in our bodies without even realizing it. So scan your body mentally from head to toe. If you're holding tension anywhere, know that it is safe to release it right now. We can oftentimes get stuck in fight or flight mode. And it's so important to learn how to relax the body and the central nervous system. And to know that right now in this moment we are safe. What a blessing. For the sake of brevity, I'll start to bring us out of this, but you are more than welcome to pause the video and stay for as long as you want. Start to wiggle through your fingers and toes. As you deepen your breath, you might rotate through the wrists and ankles. And find a full body stretch, reaching arms overhead. Point the toes in front of you. And then bend the knees and roll to your right side, letting your head rest on the right arm in a fetal position. And then use your hands to guide your body back into Sukhasana, or that easy seat that we started in today. And Take the palms and bring them together at the heart. Notice maybe the difference in how you feel as to when you began this practice. Notice how tall you feel. Maybe your body's a little more open, mind a bit more relaxed, more space emotionally. And as you notice that, allow yourself to fill with gratitude that you took this time today for self-care, to fill your own cup, to live life with more space, more freedom, less pain. Take a cleansing breath in through the nose, out of the mouth. Let your head bow and bring your fingers to your forehead. And as we do that, we're acknowledging that space inside of us that is connected with everyone and everything. Maybe to you it's God or the divine. Maybe it's just connection. Know that it lives within you, and that when you find quiet and stillness in the body, mind, and spirit, that's when it truly shines. Thank you so much for joining me for this beginner's yoga practice today. The light in me truly honors the light that is in you. Namaste. Thank you again so much for joining me today. Again, every Saturday at 9 a.m. I'll be here teaching beginners yoga at Karma Tribe Yoga, 3545 Broadway in Kansas City. And each month I'll put out a new video with what we're working on in our beginners series. Namaste, yogis. Oh, one more thing. If you enjoyed this video and aren't able to make it into the studio, Karma Tribe Yoga is a nonprofit and donation-based yoga studio, and donations are always welcome as a thank you. You can donate through our Facebook page, Karma Tribe Yoga KC, or through our website, karmatribeyoga.org. You can also find our schedule there and come join us for some classes. Have a wonderful day.